Good morning, everyone. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let's start our third day of Sri Siddhendra Aradhana Dance Festival by rendering Natya Aramba Slokam. Just a few verses of them. Pranamya Sirasa Devo Hitamaha Maheshwara Natya Shastram Pravakshami Brahmanaya Dudavrutam Devatanam Sirastastu Gurunam Asya Samstita Vakshasthalaiva Vipryanam Seshe Dvaniyamo Bhavet. This slokam offers my obedience to the Supreme Power, Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, and my gurus. And it goes continuous. Thank you for joining me in the third day of Siddhendra Aradhana, the festival of dance. Today, it's my immense pleasure and an honor to invite Dr. Anupama Kailash to our studio, the third day of Siddhendra Aradhana, the festival of dance. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Sudha.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing great, and it's a pleasure to have you in the studio today. I'm just going to read out to tell my viewers. I mean, you're no stranger to anyone in field of dance, so I'm just going to, say the obvious.
Thank you.
Dr. Anupama Kailash is a senior practitioner of Kuchipudi and Vilasini Natyam, trained under Dr. Umara Marao for Kuchipudi and Padma Bhushan Swapna Sundari for Vilasini Natyam. Anupama has given more than 800 performances in India and abroad. After completing her bachelor's and master's degree in dance from the Telugu University, she completed her PhD in dance from University of Hyderabad. Dr. Anupama Kailash is an academician, a performer. Along with performances, she had given many lecture demonstrations, paper presentations, and workshops on a wide variety of subjects. She is an recipient of several scholarships from Ministry of Human Resources Development, Ministry of Culture, as well as Junior and Senior Research Fellowship from University Grant Commission. Anupama is a Visharad in Hindustani music from Akhila Bharatiya Gandharva Mahavidyalaya and an author of 2 books based on Telugu Pada poets, Annamacharya and Kshetraya. Dr. Anupama Kailash has her own institute of dance named Abhinav Center for Performing Arts, where she trains students for solo and group presentations. To know more about her, please visit her website, dranupamakailash.com. Welcome to the presentation, or welcome to Siddhendra Aradhana Festival, ma'am. It is an honor and a pleasure to be talking to you or to be in front of you.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you, Sudha.
Today, Dr. Anupama Kailash is going to talk about the bhava aspect of dance. What kind of bhavas we need to use, or how many varieties, or I'm no way even eligible to talk about it when she is in front of me. So please, ma'am, take it over.
Sure. Thank you, Sudha. So initially, let me just, give a small idea as to why, when you asked me for this event, we thought of so many,
Yes.
subjects, and we were thinking, what shall we talk about? Then I felt, that something on bhava, I think, would be very appropriate, because especially the idea of exploring bhava, like how we have titled it, exploring bhava. So there is always this thing, there is so much talk about rasa. We talk so much about rasa, we talk about the navarasas, we talk about the 8 rasas, then we say the 9th one was included. So there is a lot of talk on rasa, but the primary idea or the emotion that the dancer or the practitioner has to convey is not the rasa, it's the bhava. Because the rasa is that which actually happens in the audience. So every time we say that I'm presenting a certain rasa, actually we are saying something wrong. Because you don't present a rasa, you present bhava, and the rasa actually happens in the viewer, in the mind of the viewer.
Correct.
Like the Natshastra says, the sahridaya, a viewer who's in tune with your,
Right.
with your aesthetic. So, so I thought, bhavas are not really discussed because there is so much discussion on rasa. But
Correct.
bhava is the primary vehicle on which you have to, seat yourself in order to even go towards the rasa experience.
Correct.
So that is why I thought let's discuss bhava as an idea, because what kind of a bhava gives rise to what kind of a rasa? How does it, and how do we facilitate the production of rasa
Rasa.
using various bhavas, and what exactly do we mean when we say the word bhava actually?
Right.
So that's what I wanted to discuss initially. So let me first, briefly, it's very interesting when you look at etymology of words. So when you look at the etymology of the word bhava, or if you say bhava, or if you say
Bhava is
bhavita.
right.
So when you say bhava, bhavita, any of this, actually all of them arise from the root called bhu.
Okay.
So bhu means to be, just be, to be there. That is why it's called bhumi, because it's there,
Right.
it stays there. So from that etymological root, if we look at what the Amarakosha and some of the texts talk about the word bhava, it's very interesting that you have over 21 meanings just for the word bhava.
Bhava, not bhu. Bhava, you have
For
21.
bhava, for bhava, you have over 21 meanings in the Amarakosha just for that one word. So, like for example, let me just give you a few of the meanings. It says a state or a condition of being.
Okay.
So since it's coming from the root bhu, it's a state
Okay.
or a condition, and an innate property or a disposition or a nature. So bhava is also that. The mind and the soul both can be bhava. That which arises in the mind, that which is the soul. So these are all from Amarakosha. This it's coming from there. It's not even coming. Birth, something that is born. So we
Bhava
say
is birth. Oh, wow.
birth, something that is born, an act, an action, a gesture, a corporeal expression, something that comes from inside you, basically. And there are so many other meanings to it, like a substance, an instruction. So there are umpteen meanings, and each of them, I think, when you use them in connection with a noun or a verb or an adjective or an thing, the
Right.
whole connotation keeps changing. So when you look at this idea of bhava or bhavita, so when you say bhavita, what is it? It's something that is pervaded, occupied.
Right.
So bhava is the noun and bhavita is the action that is taking place, basically.
Wow.
So when you say something that is animated, which is made
Right.
to become active, something
The
that is
action.
inspired,
Right.
something that is mixed with other emotions. All this comes into the periphery of the word bhavita.
Bhavita. Okay.
So, that's why it's very interesting, even when you look at how the Natyashastra talks about this chapter. He explains rasa first in the 6th chapter, but he goes on to explain bhava in the 7th chapter.
Right.
And
Right.
there, when he talks about it, he gives us 3 sets of bhavas. So, this is something most of us know, but we don't understand exactly what is the functionality of each of these sets of bhavas.
Okay. There are
Like,
sets of powers.
yeah, so there are 3 sets of bhavas. The first
Okay.
set is called the sthai bhava.
Right. Right.
Yes, and then you have what is called the vyabhichari bhava.
Right.
And then you have the satvika bhava.
Right.
So these are the 3 sets he has given us. But in order to understand these 3 sets, we actually need to understand what is vibhava and anubhava.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's
all of them are linked. So when you combine the activity of the vibhava, the anubhava, the sthai bhava, the sanchari bhava, or the vyabhichari bhava, and the satvika bhava, that is when you get a complete, a range
uh,
of emotion, which gives birth to what is called the rasa.
rasa. Ah.
So
So
this is,
rasa is the ultimate expression you create through bhava.
yes, rasa is the result you
Result.
create.
Yes.
It's the
That's,
result you create. It is a collective result. See, because that's the beauty when Abhinava Gupta, when he analyzes the rasa theory, he says rasa is a collective experience.
right.
He calls it a collective experience. He says, because when somebody, suppose you and I, all of us, about 10 of us, are sitting in an audience and we are watching a presentation,
Right.
we are all made of different characteristics. All of us are different kinds of people.
Right.
But sometimes in a performance, there is one point when all of us are still, or all of us are speechless, or all of us are experiencing the very same kind of emotion.
Right. Yes.
That is rasa nishpatti,
Rasa.
because it just unites every type of person in that one visual experience.
Ah.
So that is why he calls it a collective experience. He says rasa can be created only as a collective idea.
Okay.
So that's what he says. So when you look at this idea of bhava, I found it very interesting, when Bharata says, he says, I'll explain bhava. So what he says is, he says they are called bhavas because they happen to exist. That is his first, that is the first term he uses.
You can only visualize it. You can feel it, but you cannot touch or do anything of that sort. Correct. So
No,
it's
yes, but they exist. He says
right.
they are
They
bhava because they are there. They are created and they are there.
there.
They
Correct.
exist. And then he says that, everything is pervaded by bhava. Every artistic activity is
Mhm.
pervaded by this thing called bhava. Just like what you said, like he says, like smell, or like, a scent or a
Then
fragrance.
right.
Similar to
Right.
that, everything, bhava pervades everything, even though it is an intangible idea, but still it pervades. And then he tells us what is a vibhava. So he says vibhava is a determinant. The moment you see somebody on stage, even before the story unfolds, even before anything happens, you know who that character
That
is.
character is yes. Yes.
So it already has set a premise, depending on how the age of the character, the how the character looks, how the character stands, how the character is dressed.
Right. So because we have a preconceived notion about one particular character
And
that
you know what you've come to watch also.
right.
See,
Exactly.
basically, so
Exactly.
that's what I was coming to. If you come to watch Shakuntala Dushyanta, or you've come to watch something, the moment she comes on stage, you know it is her. even before the story begins.
Story begins. Correct.
So that itself is the vibhava. It determines the element that is going to happen. And then when that element starts happening, then it becomes anubhava.
Anubhava.
So when there are, when music joins, when the set is, conducive to the particular story, when the characters start enacting their thoughts, their ideas, then these are all the consequence.
Right.
So the anubhava becomes the consequent.
And that becomes the rasa again.
No. Sthayi bhava. Now comes the most important part, because when I said exploring bhava,
right,
I wanted to explore every element of it, as much as possible. Because the determinant is the vibhava, the consequent is the anubhava.
Right.
Now, what comes to stay there is sthayi, the sthayi bhava.
Sthayi bhava.
Now, the word, just like bhu means to be, stha means to stay. So that's why, we say bhu, we're saying bhava, bhavita, bhava, everything comes from the root called bhu.
Right.
Similarly, the word sthayi comes from the root stha. Stha itself means static, that which is still.
Right.
That which stays. So that's why we say sthala, sthana, stamba, something that doesn't move.
Right.
Anything that doesn't move and stays there permanently till the activity is done is the sthayi. Now, today, if you want the youngsters to understand what exactly a sthayi is, you can tell them, it's what we call a genre actually today.
A genre?
So it's like, you're scrolling, say, through your, phone, and you're watching Amazon, or you're watching Netflix or something like that. And then you see this, the films or the serials, they have this thing called thriller horror. They have a rom-com, or you have, something like that. So it's a romance comedy.
Right.
So this is a romance. This is a drama. This is a, horror. This is a crime. This is a thriller. Basically, the sthayi works like that. And that's what's interesting, because no matter how many things happen in that particular presentation or in that particular piece,
yes,
it's still, in the thriller, you may have a romantic scene, you may have something. No matter what you have, the genre still remains a thriller.
So that's the sthayi. That is
the sthayi. Basically, that's a sthayi, that which comes to stay. Now, if you have a story of the, Shakuntala, or if you have a story of Nala Damayanti, or if you have a love story like that, you know that the basic genre is a love story.
Love story, correct.
Now, in that, there will be happy moments, there'll be sad moments, there'll be separation, there'll be viraha, there'll be, joining together, there'll be tensions, there may be war, there may be so many things.
Right.
But all that works within the sthayi of rati.
Yes.
Because that is the primary genre of that piece.
Right.
So similarly, now, say in a drama, so that is why there have been so many arguments, about when Natya, was being discussed, or rasa and bhavas were being discussed by the rhetoricians of the yesteryears.
Right.
There have been so many discussions, like, there was from Uttara Ramacharitra, the famous work of Bhavabhuti. There was always a discussion that actually the Ramayana, the sthayi is shoka, or the actual thing is karuna, that it is primarily karuna. That was their argument. So there were so many arguments regarding this. So many arguments regarding, so many of these things. Because at every point in the Ramayana, it is primarily about separation. At every point.
Yes.
Right from the beginning, when Valmiki sees those two birds, from that moment onwards, literally everything that happens, the whole sequence of events that unfolds is to do with separation.
True. Very true. I mean, now when you're talking, that's where it comes in mind. Yes. So when his, childhood, he was separated from his parents, and then, so on and so forth. Correct.
So there were so many. So when you come to the Uttara Ramayana or the whole Lavakusha, angle and everything, so they
Right.
argued. They said no, the primary, rasa that this particular work evokes should be Karuna. Whereas there were other arguments. So like this, every piece has arguments back and forth. No, this is Shringara. This evokes only Shringara. Some say this evokes Adbhuta. Some say it evokes Veera. So, there is always so many arguments regarding this.
Yeah.
And that is what is interesting about the bhava idea, because in one single piece, you have so many bhavas that can unfold.
Right.
So many types of bhavas that can unfold.
Unfold, yes.
But you have to, if you are intelligent, or you must learn to be intelligent as to identify the sthai.
Right. So, how do we do that? I mean, like, there are so many emotions in one particular drama. So, in Aradhana, for example,
see, the drama is still easier. Drama is still easier because the genre is already there in your mind.
Right.
So the problem comes when we are trying to do our solo pieces today in the solo tradition.
Right.
So when you are doing solo pieces, one piece will have bhakti, it will have shringara, it will have so many elements.
Right.
So how do we identify the sthai and see that our choreography is in tune with what the sthai demands?
Okay.
So for this, let me just give you one example.
Absolutely. We would like to.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting discussion because, for example, there is a long set of shlokas from the Valmiki Ramayana. When Valmiki explains when Narada explains to Valmiki, who is this Rama about whom you're going to write a story, he says, who is this Rama? And then he describes Rama. So it's an iconic, set of verses.
Set of words, yeah.
Which have been discussed by many people. So it starts with Ikshvaku Vamsha Prabhavo Ramo Nama Janai Shrutaha. So it starts with that. He says he is the light of the Ikshvaku clan. And Ramo Nama Janai Shrutaha. People have heard of him as Rama. So that is the first time in Valmiki Ramayanam that the word Rama is actually used. So it's interesting. So there is the set of qualities he describes in this entire piece.
Okay. So can we have a demonstration of that one? I'm most
demonstration, I don't know, but I'll play it. I have a point here to make.
Absolutely.
So what I wanted to do is, okay, let me connect this speaker to
sure,
my thing. So the point here I'm trying to make is, okay, yeah, that's connected. So what point I'm trying to make here is that he says so many things, about Rama in this. So there is one particular point where he says, let me just explain it so that you can enjoy the piece better. So he says he is Samudra Iva Gambhirye. So he's as Gambhira or as deep as the Samudra, as the ocean. Dhairyena Himavaniva. So he is in forbearance. He is as, he has as much dhairya as the Himalaya mountain. As the mountain itself. Vishnuna Sadrusho Virye. In valor, he is like Vishnu. And Somavat Priyadarshanaha. His glances are like moon, the moon.
Very nice and cold.
Tallani, yes. So like that. So it's like the moon. Kalagni Sadrushaha Krodhe. So in anger, he looks like the Kalagni or the destructive fire.
Fire. Oh, wow.
Kshamaya Pridhivi Samaha. In forgiveness, he's like the earth. What all the earth forgives.
Right.
And he says, Dhanadena Samastyage. In giving dana, he is like Dhanada, that is Kubera. He is as generous as Kubera. Satye Dharma Ivaparaha. In truth, he is like Dharmaraja or Yama. And he says, Tameva Gunam Sampannam Ramam Satyaparakramam. So this is the Rama who has all these gunas, he says.
Gunas, characters, yes.
So now when you look at the range of ideas he has created here. Okay?
So that's very nice. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so what my thing is, like, now suppose we have to identify, when we look at the range of ideas that he has created, and we have to identify, okay, what would be the basic sthai that would run through all this?
Mm-hmm.
So if we have to think about that, so let me play the piece, then you can, because even the musicality helps for us to understand how the piece works.
Absolutely.
So I'll just play it. I'm playing it from that part only, from Samudra Iva Gambhirye. One second. Yeah, it says connected. Well, I don't understand why it's not. Just a second.
Sure.
I think it should detect. Okay. Let me just play it, just outward and see whether you're able to get it.
Beautiful. Oh my God.
So that's the piece. So let's discuss it. Like, so when you say Samudra Iva Gambhirye, Now,
Right.
there are qualities we are talking about. We're talking about Gambhiratvamu. We're
Right.
talking about, Himalaya. He has, he has the forbearance
Right.
of the Himalaya. Then
Right.
we are saying that he has the, then we are saying that, he has the Viryam of Vishnu.
Right.
So the, the Utsaha or the bravery. And we are saying that his eye, his glance is like Soma.
Oh,
You know?
beautiful. Like cold, like
Yeah.
moon.
So if you say, his eye is the moon, then the way he looks at you is so, filled with
Right.
coolness.
Right. Right.
And we are saying Kalagni Sadrushaha Krodhe. So he's like a fire, he's like a Kalagni.
Right.
And in, forgiveness, he's like
Forgiveness.
the Prithvi, he's like the earth.
Beautiful.
Then we are saying in Dhanadena, in giving, he is like Kubera. And he is like Yama in truth, Satyam.
Satyam. Right.
All these gunas he has. He is Rama. He is Rama. He is Rama. Multiple ways.
Multiple ways. Yes.
So, what would you think is actually the style of this piece?
Ah, that's a. Ah, I can't. I mean, there is so many things. There is Veera. Um, there is, I mean, forbearance, meaning, you know, I cannot pinpoint. There are so many things.
Yes,
There is, I would say, his character, Rama's character. So maybe Veera.
I think so, because what I feel is the basic style of this should be Utsaha, which is the
Utsaha.
style bhava of Veera.
Right. Right.
Because every aspect that he described, whether it is Gambhiratvam, whether it is Dhairya, whether it is Dhruti, whether it is fortitude, whether it's forgiveness, whether it is charity,
His
any of these
character.
aspects cannot be present in a person who is not a Veera.
Yes. Yes.
Any of these characteristics cannot be present in a person who's not a Veera.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
basically, when you say any of these, now in this you have umpteen sancharis.
Yes.
So because you'll have dhairya, you'll have dhruti, you'll have so many
Yes.
harsha, avega. There are so many
Yes.
because you're showing anger. You're showing out of the 33 sancharis, you'll be using n number of sancharis in this.
Sancharis. Yes.
But the sthai for me would be utsaha.
Utsaha.
And in turn, it should be giving rise to the Veera Rasa.
Veera Rasa. Rasa. Correct.
Because it is, for me, it describes Rama as a human being, as a person.
Right.
He's not saying this is a god and you are going to describe him. That's not what he's saying.
Yes.
He's saying this is a prince. He is
Yes.
he's the light and the pride of the Ikshvaku Vamsha.
Absolutely. Yes.
So you are going to write a story about this great warrior, about this great, fighter. So it
Correct.
should primarily be Veera Rasa, which we are trying to create.
Create.
And
Yes.
therefore, the style would primarily be Utsaha for me.
Utsaha. Okay.
So
Yes.
it is for us to sort out all the, minute bhavas that we find in each piece and try to understand which style are we going to hold through this piece.
That makes a lot of difference. So because
It
if
makes a
this,
lot of difference.
yes, it does. To choreograph a piece, if we don't know exactly the sthai bhava of that particular piece, then it goes totally the wrong way.
Exactly. So that is why I'm saying this, because there is so much discussion on rasa
Right.
that we
Right.
just completely miss the point connected to sthai.
Sthai. Correct.
So,
Absolutely.
we think anything that is sad, okay, has to be based on karuna, or it has to be based on sorrow.
Yes.
But that is not so, because that there is a clear distinction between karuna and vipralamba shringara
True. Absolutely. Yes.
as rasas.
Right. Right.
Any sorrow or viraha or pain in the context of a lover or
Is
your beloved becomes rati,
right.
not karuna. It's not shoka. It is still
No,
rati.
so Karuna is kind of, it generates when Shoka comes to the picture.
Exactly. And that shoka, he has given very clearly in the Natya Shastra. If we pick up our books and we read it,
Right.
he gives very clearly. He says, Karuna happens, when you lose a beloved because of death, because of accident, because of fatality, because of, there are so many
And
reasons.
number of reasons.
And he gives you clearly. He says it is not to be confused with the viraha between a man and a woman. It
I
is not
remember.
to be confused with that. He says
Right.
that comes under vipralambha. It comes under love in separation.
Correct. Correct. So that
So
cannot be Karuna.
it cannot be karuna. So we
Right.
cannot say this is karuna rasa is being evoked. Neither can we call it shoka.
No. Ah. Okay.
We cannot
Oh,
call it shoka, because shoka is the sthai bhava of karuna rasa.
Karuna Rasa. Correct.
Because
Yes.
this is not shoka. This viraha is also pleasurable. Viraha is also,
True.
and it is also rati.
Yes.
So when extreme pleasure is giving you extreme pain,
Yeah. True.
basically that is what we are talking
About
about
it.
when we
Yes.
talk about shringara, or when
Yeah.
we talk about rati. So what is interesting here is, while the rasas are two distinct rasas, Sambhoga Shringara and Vipralambha Shringara,
Singara.
the sthai bhava is one for both. Rati.
Right. Rati. Yes.
So that is what is interesting here. So that means he's not differentiating. He's not given a different sthai for Vipralambha and a different sthai for
So,
Sambhoga.
the Sthai Bhavas can be, how can we depict the Sthai Bhava then? How can we show the Sthai Bhava when both the Vipralabdha and then, Sambhoga Srungara has the same Sthai Bhava?
So it is in, for us, that is where now the understanding of the literary piece, the
Ah,
understanding of the literature of the piece comes into play. So
right,
if you know that it's a happy piece, if you're saying, I'm with my lover and I'm so joyful, look at my lover, he's so handsome, I am in love with him, and he's there and you're joyful. So that is love in union. It comes under the entire rati of happiness.
right, right.
When you're saying, why am I separated from him? Why do I have to stay away from him? I do not want to stay away from him. And why
Right.
do I have to live when I have to be away from him? If you're saying that in your Sahitya,
Yes.
automatically it falls under the category of Vipralambha, because he's not with you.
Yes, that's true. So, for example, there is this padam or javli, Mogudachi piliche poi vottura, Preeti
Yes.
Maruvakura Swami. So there, the Gopika, she's going to go to her husband
Yes.
when she was married, when she was child, but she's in love with Krishna. So, what kind of a Shrungara or what kind of a rasa it comes here? Because she's going to go to her husband to have, to be with him, and that's a good ending. But she's
Yes.
separating from Krishna here. So,
Exactly. So it will still be Vipralambha Shingara.
okay,
It will still be Vipralambha Shingara, because the man whom she loves, she's not with him.
right,
The man whom she loves, she's not with him.
with him.
So
Okay,
she's there is that angst and the agony and the pain of getting separated from Krishna.
separated from. Okay,
So it's still, because it's definitely not Sambhoga Shingara.
no, it's not.
So by default, it is Vipralambha. But it's one of those pieces which goes from, it's a border piece.
Right, it is
So
exactly.
it's going into Vipralambha. She's not yet alone.
Yeah.
It is in anticipation of separation. So there is
Right.
an anticipation of separation. You
Separation.
know that you are going to be separated from him. So
Yes.
somewhere the viraha has already started, the churning, and the angst has already started, but it has not yet reached the level of vipralambha
Correct.
because your Nayaka is still in front of you
Right. Right. Right.
at that
Exactly.
time. So that's very, it's very interesting, these transitions. Now, having said that, now when we look at Kshetraya, or at least Kshetraya, that, a lot of his pieces he has written for dance.
Right.
But when you look at Annamacharya, or when you look at some of the other pieces, we are dancing them, but they are not meant, actually, they were not written to be danced.
Danced.
Some of
Right.
them are written to be danced, some of them are not written to be danced. So when we look at a piece with, of Shringara as its primary, theme,
Aspect. Right.
every time we cannot expect it to, conform, that it must have certain rasa, it must have a certain naika. It's
Right.
not necessary. There can be so many transition pieces where one naika is transforming into another or something like that is happening.
Right.
Because I remember when I was doing my PhD and Kamishatti Srinivasil Garu, he was guiding me, especially with Annamacharya, we had a lot of problem because none of his songs would actually fit, like that.
And
So
yes.
he used to call them Jiva Naika. So he said,
Jeevanaika.
yeah, that was his term, which he used for the Naikas of Annamacharya. He said his Naikas are real, they don't conform to any, classification.
Right.
So
Right.
you can classify them because that's my PhD. I did classify them. But at the same time, they defy classification also because they are so real, they're so volatile. In one charanam, she may behave in one way, in another charanam, she may totally change her behavior.
Right. Right.
So that's what I found very interesting in delineating Rati. There can be so many nuances.
Right. There can be. Yes.
So let me just tell me, Sudha, you were
No, no,
saying
no, no.
something.
I wanted to, listen or talk to, see
No
you.
problem. You were just saying something, right?
And when you were talking about Annamaya,
Yes.
his there is no. I mean, I have not read your thesis or for PhD, but I would like to one of these days. There is no specific heroine
No.
in Annamaya pieces, so that's
No,
where it's
there
going.
is. There are specific heroines in the Shingar Sankirtanas.
Oh, they are okay.
There are very, very specific heroines.
Okay.
But again, having said that, they are specific heroines, but they may not fit into the Naika prototypes as in fixed
Fixed.
boxes.
Yes. Right.
So you
Okay.
cannot slot his Naikas into fixed boxes.
Yes.
Sometimes you can. Sometimes
Right.
they are very typical. Like, you'll find a typical Khandita Naika Avastha, or you'll find a typical Parakiya,
Ah,
or you'll find a typical Samanya Naika or a typical Sviya Naika, but you cannot really slot them.
correct.
Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll find them.
You can find. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Or you have to plan your choreography and your abhinaya based on the essential nature of that Naika as
Fine.
depicted in the Sahitya.
Yes. But for that, we need to know the style, Baba.
For that, we need to understand the sthai. So,
I
if we take that for Shringara pieces universally, the sthai would always be Rati.
Rati. Correct.
Then we can mold the piece as per the content present in the literature.
Right. Right.
Like, for example, let me demonstrate. This is just a 1-minute piece.
Oh,
So, if I'm doing Rati, if I want to say this is happy Rati or this is love in union, so
right.
I may use a certain set of motives for
Right.
that.
Right.
And then, but at the same time, when I want to say this is unhappy Rati or this is, Vipralambha, so there'll be a different set of motives. But in Vipralambha is the more popular,
Right. Exactly.
bhava, because it's a more popular rasa because there is a lot of scope. you know.
Ah,
So it's like, a film. So this was always a joke, standing joke, which we used to crack, because, once the heroine meet, the story says the end,
and
so that's where it ends. But the story is alive as long as you're not together.
right. Yeah.
So,
Ah,
so,
that's
so there
interesting.
in that pain, in that separation, there is anticipation of union.
Right.
So
Yes.
once the union is done, that's the end of the story. So, that is an interesting idea, which is why Vipralamba poets have enjoyed working more on the idea of Rati in
Right.
Vipralamba rather
Right.
than Rati in Sambhoga. You
Yes.
find more songs on Vipralamba, more songs on Viraha, rather than on Union.
Unions. Yes.
Because
Yes.
Vipralamba, first of all, that's the state that the poets themselves experienced. Separation from their own
Separation from
godhead,
your own God.
from their
Correct.
Ishtadeva. So it is alive within them. And then it is a most interesting, state also of Rati to
Absolutely.
be in. Like how a certain Alvar, he, while singing, he keeps calling for Vishnu. And then
Right.
in one verse, he says, just because I'm calling you continuously, don't come. Let me experience the Viraha a little more. Let me experience this pain of separation, he says.
That is so typical. I don't know. That is so enjoyable, I guess. I mean, the viraha, it's the
Mm.
joy of viraha. Maybe it should be
Yes.
that way categorized.
So, yeah, so I'll just do this small piece where here she says, she's telling her friends here, it's an Annamacharya piece, actually, a small extract from my presentation, which was based on the Nayikas of Annamacharya, which I called Jiva Nayika because of Master Garu.
Okay.
So, in that she says, Na Ramanunu Chudare Nalinakshulala. She says, look at my Lord, Garavamutoda Nannu Karuninche Nidivo. So with so much affection, he gives me so much. He
Right.
shows so much karuna to me. Now, just because the word karuna is occurring there, we must
Yes.
not mistake that, okay, could there be a possibility that this has, some element of karuna in it? So here we are not talking about karuna as in pathos, but we are talking about karuna as in compassion,
Compassion. Okay.
or, or love.
Yes.
So in this, definitely the sthai bhava is a love in union. I will not say sambhoga because, not really,
Right.
but it
Right.
is kind of, because they are, there. He's very much there, and she's boasting about him to her friends, and she says, see how he is.
Right. Right.
So in that, you can use a set of imageries which are different from generally.
Right.
So, like I've used imagery of, see how, his chest is like a mountain.
Right.
But what about his heart? It's not hard like a mountain, it's soft like butter,
Butter. Oh. Okay.
so
Okay.
something like that. Or
Sure.
I can say, his face is like a lotus, or there are so many images you can use here.
Right.
And you
Right.
can say, look, because even the friends are being called Nalina Akshulara. And you people are all lotus eyed women.
Women. Right.
He says, you have big, big lotus eyes kada. Chudandi, look at him.
Right. Look at.
This is how handsome he is.
Right. Right.
You know.
Yes.
So this is an enjoyable rati that we are showing here as the bhava.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
So I don't know, my speaker is not working, but I think you can hear it pretty
Yes,
clearly, right?
correct. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let me play this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh my God. That you should
So
continue
just
doing
a
it.
small, no, I just a small, we will spend the whole night talking otherwise if we don't, kind of cut it down.
Put it down, but I don't want to. That's the problem. I mean, it's beautiful. I just wanted to watch it. I mean, I'm sure all my audience would be the same. They will be like, "Oh, why is she talking? Let her dance."
No, I'll do one piece completely, when we come to it. So,
Absolutely
so my point was, now this is a joyful piece.
correct.
This is a
It's
joyful
not
piece,
Karuna.
and it says, look at him, how handsome he is, and the entire song talks about, when we were together,
Right,
how much I enjoy his company, what how he expresses his love.
right,
Now, in the similar tone, you have Vipralambha, where she says, when we were together, this is what he did. But now that when you were together, this is what he did becomes sad,
sad. Right,
because the whole idea is connected to separation.
right, right, right.
So at that point, for us to identify that there will be umpteen sancharis of joy hidden within the viraha there.
Right.
So there, what we are doing is, we are doing what this whole talk is about. We are exploring bhava, actually.
Bhava. Correct.
So there is a certain sthai of separation. So it is rati, which is based in separation.
Correct. Correct.
But you are exploring ideas like ashru. You're exploring all the satvika bhavas also. We are
Right.
saying, okay, she's crying, so there would be ashru,
Ashru.
there would be sweda, there would be sweating, there would be change of color because of the pain, there would be trembling, there would be vepathu.
Right.
So there would be so many satvika bhavas which would involuntarily happen to an artist when she's exploring the journey with the vyabhichari. So the word vyabhichari means to roam,
Correct.
to travel and come back,
Travel.
to keep traveling. So sancharam also means that, you're going.
Yeah.
So the idea of them being called vyabhacharis is because they come and they go. They
So
don't stay there.
Sancharis, Vibchari are two different aspects, correct?
Sanchari, vyabhachari are the same thing.
Same thing.
So when
Oh,
you look at the Natashastra, he will say vyabhichari bhava.
okay.
So when we talk about sanchari bhava, basically that's what we mean.
Right. Okay.
We are also talking about emotions that come and they go. I'm not talking about what we are calling sanchari today, that is dramatization.
No, not that.
I'm
Not
not
that.
talking about that. That is, some, I don't know how that acquired the name sanchari. I
Sanchari.
really don't know why we are calling it sanchari bhava, because it is actually dramatization. It's just natakiyata.
Right.
You're bringing out the drama aspect.
Correct.
So when different emotions come and then they go, then it becomes vyabhichari. So what is interesting is that in the rati of Vipralambha, you will have many joyful movements,
Right.
because you will have one vyabhichari which comes in, which is called smriti.
Ah,
So you keep remembering.
correct.
You say that, this is what he did, this is what he did, but alas, now he's not there.
Yes. That is
So when
pain.
that is a pain. So
Pain.
the pain of him not doing all those things anymore.
Now, okay.
Now, so therefore, for the choreographer, that is a challenge.
Yes.
Every time you cannot end with the joy, you have to come back to the pain, because that is the sigh.
Correct. Correct.
So that is what is the challenge there. You cannot get fixated and stuck on the sanchari or the vyabhichari.
Yes.
You have to keep returning to the sthai.
Sthai Bhava. Correct.
And that is what is most challenging in Vipralambha.
Yes.
Because you may say, you may have asuya, you may have chinta, you may have glani, you may have so many emotions coming. You may say, why isn't he coming? Is he with some other woman? Is that why he's not coming?
Right.
So there you have shanka.
Yes.
You have doubt. Then you have jealousy. But
Right.
ultimately, it's all pain. It
True.
boils down to the idea of pain.
Pain. Pain. So identifying the Sthayi Bhava is most important thing for any choreographer.
Anything, for anything,
For anything.
identifying the pulse. Sthai Bhava is the pulse of the
Pulse.
piece,
Right.
pulse of the Sahitya. So
Right.
that is very important for us to identify.
Absolutely.
And it becomes a little easier in Shingara because you know that it's either, joyful or it's sorrowful.
That's right.
But when it comes to other, rasas, then it becomes a little more difficult, like, the Rama piece we spoke about.
Right.
So we
Right.
have to crystallize the idea that, okay, this is Utsaha.
Correct. Right.
Whereas I have another piece, which I was just thinking about, when there is this wonder, the whole world is in wonder when Rama breaks the bow.
Right.
So there is, in that also it's Rama.
Yeah.
There also he's committing a leela. Okay.
He is.
So he says, the poet says, Villu virige pellu pelluna.
Right.
Allana dasha allana ripul ullambulu jallana bheetilla shivuni villu virige pellu pelluna. So that is what the Sahityam says. And he says, Allana dashadikkuladara alla diggajamulu bedara తల్లడమున బార అల్లకల్లోలముగా సురగవరులును భూసురులును కేచరులును అతివెరవ పడగ విల్లు వెరి. Now here when you say somebody is scared,
Adbhuta.
that it is adbhuta.
Yes.
So you can see how distinctly
different from
that first piece which I spoke about is compared to this piece.
This one. Yes.
So this is primarily creating what is called Vismaya. So the Sthai Bhava would be Vismaya.
Vismaya.
Because what you're creating is Adbhuta. The rasa that is you're creating is Adbhuta.
Adbhuta.
So the Bhava would be Vismaya.
Right.
Now here it is not Veera. It's not Utsaha.
Yeah, that is debatable again. Maybe it is Veera when it comes to the character of Rama.
No, but you're not talking about Rama. You're talking about the reaction of people to Rama.
Correct. So that's where the crystallization comes in.
So that is exactly my point. My point is, who is the protagonist?
Right.
So when you're saying Rama is like this, Rama is like that, you will create a feeling of Utsaha.
Correct.
Because you're talking about a warrior, you're talking about a prince, a Kshatriya prince,
right,
a scion of a Raghuvamsha.
Right.
But when you're talking about an activity like breaking the Shivadhanassu, where the the Diggajas are, they are shaken, the Surulu, the Bhusurulu, the sages, the Kecharulu, all the Rakshasas, everybody is in a state of wonder. There, our stress is not on the Veera part of Rama.
Yes.
Our stress is on the creation of Adbhuta.
Adbhuta, yeah. So Vismaya.
Vismaya. So you see, the moment I told you the Sahityam, you immediately said Adbhuta.
Right. Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So that distinction for us to make, this is also Rama piece, that is also Rama piece. This also speaks about this, him. This also speaks about him. But for us to differentiate what is the Sthai and what, therefore, if that is the Sthai, then how does the Abhinaya pan out, or how do we create the piece?
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That would be of primary importance for us.
Right. Right.
In identifying, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
So, which is why many times you find that in a choreography, something appeals, but something jars. Something you feel is not appealing.
It is.
That is because somewhere the understanding of the content or the Sahityam is not in tune with the identification of the Sthai.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is why it becomes jarring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when you identify a certain character, especially when we're talking about characters from our itihasas,
right.
So we already have preconceived notions about them.
Exactly. That's where it comes. Yeah.
We have preconceived notions about them. So sometimes certain depictions become very jarring for us because they don't fit in with our understanding of the characters. But even if we put that aside and we talk about a neutral Nayaka, say any hero of any Padam, there also the Padam, the way the Sahityam is knitted,
Right.
will give you a hint as to what the sthai actually is.
Sthai actually is, yeah.
Even if you're not talking about a Rama or a Krishna or anything, even then, even if you're simply talking about a lover or a man, and the Nayaka is simply talking about any lover, also you get a basic understanding of the nature based on the subtext. So we have to read the subtext of the Sahitya. It's not enough to read the Sahityam. We have to understand what is not written.
Right, exactly.
What is the subtext of it? That subtext help us to identify the sthai.
Absolutely.
So I think that is what is important, because there are so many sancharis that come and go, in which we can get lost.
Right, right, we do.
And lose track of the sthai. For example, before I demonstrate that piece, the Vipralambha piece, I wanted to say, so in my, University of Silicon Andhra, where I work, so I used to give them an assignment, where I'm asking them to identify, I'm saying, okay, I'm talking about Krishna being a Karuna Samudra.
Right.
So basically my sthai there would be not Shoka, because here I'm not talking about Karuna in the context of pathos.
Pathos, yes.
But I'm talking in the context of compassion.
Correct.
So when I tell them that, you must explore different ideas through which you can satisfy the line, Krishna Krishna Kripa Sindho. Suppose I'm saying, he's a Sindhu, he's a ocean of Kripa, of compassion. So you must identify and do just that one line you elaborate upon.
Bhakti, yes.
So when I tell them that you elaborate only upon that one line, now here it is very difficult to identify the sthai, because you don't have compassion as in Karuna in the text.
Right.
You have only pathos.
Pathos, yes, correct.
So even if you cannot identify the sthai correctly, but we have to catch the pulse then of the Sahitya. Because we have to take some kind of a anchor on which to base the evolution of the piece.
Yes.
So when I'm saying that he's a Karuna Samudra, then I tell them that is your sthai, the fact that he's a ocean of compassion.
Compassion, yes.
So whatever you choreograph or whatever you do, you must come back to that point.
Right, that he's Karuna Samudra.
Because that is what the Sahityam is saying.
Correct.
And that's what the Sahitya Dharma is, that he is the ocean of compassion. So whatever you do, you have to pick something by which you can prove that idea.
Right,
so
right.
Just because you know Krishna Leelas doesn't mean every Krishna Leela will fit there.
Correct.
So you have to pick only those Krishna Leelas at the end of which Krishna shows his compassion.
Right, absolutely.
So like for example, somebody they just did the Kaliya Mardana, okay? And they show the Kaliya, the head of the,
Kali going down.
He has suppressed him. So my question was, what happens? How did he show his compassion after that is the actual thing. Him suppressing Kalinga doesn't satisfy the sthai of the line. What did he do after that to show compassion? Because here he's not showing compassion, he's subjugating the snake, right?
Right, he is. Yes.
So how do you choose that for a line like this, unless you have more to say? So if you want to take the Kaliya story, then extend it to the Nagapatnis and say they came and they appealed to him. So he said, okay, he showed compassion to them and said, okay, if you take him and go away and promise never to come back, then you can go.
Right. So that's when you have to go beyond.
You have to go beyond if you want to satisfy the Sahitya Dharma of that line.
Correct.
Now, just because it's Krishna, you can't just do Kaliya Mardana and leave it there and say, okay, it's about Krishna, so I've done that.
Right.
So that is what is very important for Abhinaya, because we need to identify where we need to keep coming back.
Correct.
And that becomes most important in doing full justice to the piece, to, the choreography.
Correct. Yes.
Otherwise, it will be half baked. And we are doing only as much, we're just working on the periphery. We are not really
Padartha Vinaya.
we are not going into the depth of the idea. Even Padartha is not being satisfied there, actually.
Yes.
Either way. So forget about Vakyartha and other, Gudhartha and other things. We are basically not able to identify through the Sahityam what the sthai is.
Sthai is, yes. Absolutely.
So I think that is why Bhava plays such a big role in understanding dissemination of Abhinaya. How do you disseminate it? How do you spread it? How do you convey the idea to the viewer?
Yes. How do we convey the idea to viewers, and how do we convey the idea to even the learners or the dancers now? As a choreographer, you understood, but how do we convey it to for the students to do that, or to get that, rasa? How do we do that?
Exactly. So that is something we have to figure out, and that we can figure out only if we have a distinct understanding, number one, of the Sahitya, number two, of how the Bhava must work for that Sahitya.
Right.
It is only the correlationship between those two that will actually give us that clarity.
Correct.
And it will give them the clarity. For those who are watching, or for the students, or whoever wants to understand it, it will give them that clarity which they're looking for.
Right. Absolutely.
So that is my argument. Of course, we can just go on, but yeah, we're getting late also. So, but anyway, so let me explain the piece that I'll do now.
Yes.
So this is a piece, again, it's an Annamacharya piece. So here she says, Chalu chalu vadu leni janma mela. So she says, why do I need this life?
Life.
Which is, in which Venkateshwara is not there.
Right.
And she says, don't trouble me, my friends. Jalinannu pettakure, sare chelulu. Don't keep troubling me. Leave me alone, because I don't want this life in which he's not there.
Wow.
And then she says, so just for you to, for people to understand the choreography better, I'm just explaining it.
Of course.
And then she goes on to say, she says, what is the use of this moonlight? Vennela bayalela. She says, why do I need this moonlight when he's not with me?
So it's a viraha, correct?
It's a viraha. It's a viraha. So in this, there are many sancharis that come in. Many vyabhichari bhavas that actually pervade the piece, which is why I thought I'll do this.
Right.
So she says, why do I need this moonlight? When he's not there. Now, that should give you an indication of, how you would bring in different vyabhicharis.
Yes.
So, she can say so many things. She can say, he always used to compare my face to the moon and said that, my face is much more bright than the moon.
Right. Right.
She can say that, or she can say something else connected to that. I mean, whatever I feel like doing, at that time, you can do that. And then, she can say, but then what is this? Why are you shining down now on me? When you know that I'm in Viraha. Don't you know that, both of us are actually brother and sister, we both came out from the Kshira Sagara together.
Right. Right.
But you have no compassion on me at all.
That is so well said. I didn't even think about that way. When you said we both are brother and sister, we both came. It's like,
so see, that is subtext. When we are not, it's not there in the Sahitya.
Sahitya, yes.
But we are going beyond the limitation of the Sahityam.
Sahitya.
You go beyond the limitation of the Sahityam and you do it.
Right.
And then she says, why do I don't want this Vadu nenu kappukoni duppatela. I don't, both of us used to cover this sheet together. So I don't want this anymore. Atani kagita leni nidrela. Why do I need a sleep in which I'm not enfolded in his arms?
Oh wow.
I don't want this sleep.
Right.
So there could be so many ideas of Smriti here when, she remembers what he says when she's in his embrace.
Embrace. Okay.
So
Yeah.
she could say, he could be praising her. She could be saying, hey, come on, don't exaggerate. There could be
Right.
so many things.
So is it a Smriti, the Sthai Baba?
So
What is
basically, the sthai will be Rati.
Rati? Yes.
Sthai will be Rati,
But
but there will be a lot of Smriti in it.
Smriti in it. Okay.
Because Vipralambha, to a
Yes.
great extent, is also filled with Smriti,
Smriti.
depending on the Sahityam. Because she says, why do I need this without him? So
Absolutely.
basically, this, and this has a connotation in the past for her.
Right. Right.
So that is where the Smriti aspect comes in. And
Correct.
then she says, there are so many things we shared, So I thought I would, show it this way that, he says, he looks at her arms and he says, your arms are like flower garlands. Why do I need my garland? I don't want my garland. Your
Yes.
words are like, so sweet. I don't need my shankha.
Right.
Your eyes are so beautiful, two lovely lotuses. Why do I need this one lotus?
Right.
Your eyebrows are like two big bows. I don't need my saranga bow. So these are all, again, they bring out the connection between them in union.
Right.
But the point is not to get lost there. The point is, once he says that and she remembers it, she must come back to the present
Rati.
and say, okay, if that is not there, I don't want this life.
Yes. The Rati. She has to come back to the Rati aspect of it.
This is also Rati, that's also Rati. But she has to
Right.
come back to Rati in pain.
Pain. Rati in pain and
That's
agony.
the
Yes.
essential part of the piece.
Right.
So I think that is what is very important for her to come back to that Rati
Right.
of pain.
Right.
And towards the end, I thought I'll just take it a little to the philosophical level where she says, this body which has five senses, it is of no use to me.
Right. Right.
And this body which is like, it's like a potlam, it's like a, thing which is infested by so many shatvargas.
Right.
So I don't want all this. And this house of my heart, if his feet are going away from my house,
Wow.
I don't want this life. They should be coming into this.
Right.
Yeah, I think we had a little disturbance there. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Are we back? Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So this is some of the ideas that I've created. Of course, it's a long piece, but I've edited it a little bit.
No, we would like to see as much as we can.
So, okay, let me do it. I think as I'm doing it, you'll understand. And once it's done,
Absolutely.
If you have any questions, you can always ask me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just let me do in this given space whatever I can.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're able to hear the music?
Yes, I'm able to hear the music.
Okay. Right.
Little bit more sound. That's
okay.
good. Yes.
It's in full volume.
Yes.
చాలు చాలు నాడులేని జన్మలేనా నేడువాని కాసిన బయలేలా నేడువాని మొదటవాడి ఆగిటలుండని నిద్రేలా మొదటవాడి ఆగిటలుండని నిద్రేలా కూడివాడు నేను కప్పుకొని పైననేలా కూడివాడు నేను కప్పుకొని పైననేలా వీడిన చెక్కుతోడి వేరగే చాలును చాలు చాలు బాసిన వెన్నెల గయలేలా వాడి కౌగిటనుండని నిద్రేలా చాలు చాలు నాడులేని జన్మలేలా చాలు చాలు చాలవాని సరసములేని నువ్వేలా లాల్యజీ వాడు వినని మాటలేలా చాలవాని సరసములేని నువ్వేలా లాల్యజీ వాడు వినని మాటలేలా చాలవాని సరసములేని నువ్వేలా లాల్యజీ వాడు వినని ఒక్కటై చూడని అర్థమేలా కాలినితో లోలోనే కలబోతే చాలును కాలినితో లోలోనే కలబోతే చాలును చాలు చాలు వాడులేని చాలు చాలు వాడులేని జన్మమేగా చాలు చాలు వాడులేని జన్మమేగా చాలు చాలు వాడులేని జన్మమేగా వాడులేని జన్మమేగా వాడులేని జన్మమేగా ఈ జన్మమేగా ఈ
That was unbelievable and way beyond, ma'am. It was like I could watch all day, every day, forever. It's like,
Thank you, Sudha. Actually, I'm not able to stretch much, so I wasn't able to,
no,
you know,
as you said, we had that Rasotpatti. We did, and we could see the emotions, we could see everything, and now we can relate to what you're talking, what you were talking, in regards to the whole contest. And I wish all my audience are watching that and could learn at least a little bit of what you have taught or what you have, demonstrated here right now. It's way beyond my explanations.
thank you, Sudha. No, it's just it's very interesting how you can work on a certain piece,
Right.
fill it with ideation or thought process or whatever we are trying to do with it,
Correct.
and also retain one, the Sahitya Dharma, and two, the essential component, which is where do we have to come back to?
Come back to.
What is like our vantage point? I
Yes.
think that
You come
vantage
back,
point
no
is
matter what you do it, you come back to the,
you
main.
come back to, like if you were building an idea, like for example, I don't know if they've understood all the ideas that I did.
I hope so.
I hope they've understood. So like when you say, like he said, my smile is like this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you have to come back to, I don't want the smile without him. Or if you say my eyes are like this, I don't want this beauty without him.
Yes.
So we just keep coming back to the sthai, coming back to the idea that there is unhappiness in the viraha that she's
Viraha,
experiencing,
yes. Now-
whereas there is
How
Yes.
do we inculcate these things in now younger generation? How do we tell them, or like, okay, bhava is so important for them, and
yeah
from the kid aspect, from maybe like a 6-year-old comes, and for them the basic thing is make them smile and do it. So how do we tell them that this is important, because this is very only after like maybe you're 12, 13 they understand all of
Yes.
this, but from the
Of
youngest
course.
age, from the
But
youngest
I think all the elements, especially that connected with Shringara, we cannot teach the very young children.
Yes,
I think,
exactly.
we have to, because they have to develop some level of maturity. And of course, nowadays kids are they're very
Yeah.
mature, very young,
Yes,
you know. So most
yes,
of them understand a lot of it. But but at the same time, when different people ask me, they say, okay, all these art forms and all this, is it relevant to modern times? Is it relevant to the society we are living in today? Is it relevant, or are we in a time capsule stuck somewhere in the past? So
yes,
when this kind of questions come, so basically my return question to them is that what we are talking about here are human emotions.
right,
They are basic human emotions. Cultural context may vary,
right, right,
but there is something called an essential human characteristic.
right,
Today, also, a teenage girl will fall in love with some guy.
right.
So, and if it is a very strict family, say it's an Indian family or an Asian
Right.
family, who are very strict about these things, today also she will meet him secretly without the parents knowing. So it is not, these are not outdated ideas. See, the problem is the moment we juxtapose a historical name, or or a name connected to the epic. So when, if you say Rama and you say Krishna, you'll think it's outdated. But if you say Sushil or Sudhir, you will feel that's relevant to you. You know.
Yes, yes,
So
yeah,
it is simply a rejection of anything old or anything ancient,
right,
but it's not a rejection of human emotion.
right, right.
So the point is, you have to understand it in this context, because anything that was created, if you look at the Mahabharata, for example, there is nothing which is in existence which is
Right,
not there in the Mahabharata.
right. Yes, it you can't say it's irrelevant or it is not relevant to this
There
period.
is
It still
nothing in the
happens.
Mahabharata which, there is no aspect of human civilization that has been left out,
Yes, yes,
in the Mahabharata, right from the essential nature of people, the essential deception, the essential dharma, all
right.
these things. Like today, also, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the idea of good will ever be outdated.
Yes, yes. No,
Okay, there may be different, conceptions of the whole thing.
right. Yes,
So when you say
I
today
agree.
also, what do you want? You say you want a honest politician. You say you want a good man. You say you want a good leader.
Right.
So when you
Uh,
say you want a good leader, how is it different from when you say you want Ramarajyam?
yeah, true, true.
It's the same
It's
thing,
just
isn't
the
it?
wordings are different.
So
The
it's
just
just that even today you feel there will be progress, economic, social, cultural, in every way, if the
right,
leader is righteous.
right here.
So
Yes,
righteousness, piety, dharma,
yeah.
they will
It's
never
all
go out
relevant.
of, that will never go out of fashion.
Yes, yes.
Love, relationship, that will never go out of fashion.
Yeah, how you depict it, how you show it.
And also, also I feel to a great extent we as teachers of ancient or traditional, I'll say traditional art forms, so as teachers and practitioners of traditional art forms, I think the biggest mistake that happened in this century, what I feel is this whole, we have created a wall
Hmm.
between us and between common people. We think
Right.
this is an elite art, this is an elitist art. So we tell people this is a divine art, this is a sacred art, this is, all of this is this. So you're not, you in the process we are forgetting to tell them that, hey, this is a human art first.
Yes,
This
yes,
talks about human beings, this talks about human sentiment.
correct,
So
correct.
when we automatically, when you patronize the younger generation and you say, what do you people know, this is a divine art, you should learn it, they will reject it.
Yeah. So voice
But
matter. Yeah.
so how you approach them, I think we our biggest mistake is we patronize the youngsters and we say, hey, you people should have respect for your art, you have to have this, you have to have that. But you have to explain to them, why do they need to have that?
Yes. Yes. Because
And
the question of why has come in this generation. So we need
The
to
question
explore.
of why, and see, this is not a generation that will simply say, okay, fold your
Yeah,
hands. They'll say, why should I?
I should. Yes.
So if you cannot force respect, you have to earn their respect.
Yes. True.
We have to earn their respect. So we cannot talk down to this generation. We
No.
cannot patronize them and tell them that, hey, look, this is a great art. I'm saying so therefore you have to be reverent. They're not
No.
going to buy that. They're not going to buy that. They're going to say, okay, who are you to tell me to be
I mean,
something?
yes.
Let me understand why I need to be that.
Yes. Yes.
So I
Yes.
think somewhere we need to also, communicate better with them,
Yeah.
take the
That is,
understanding, communicate with them on their level, communicate with
yes.
them in the language they understand.
Yes.
And I, from experience, I'm telling you, because now, especially in the last 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, I've done 10 workshops with over 40, 50 people attending the workshops
Hmm.
of all age groups, from 12 to 13 years to
That is,
45, 50, 60-year-old people. I have never had a problem getting my point across to the youngsters.
yeah, the communication matters. How to communicate, and we have to
How do
go
you
down to their
communicate?
level.
You have to convince them.
Yes.
You have to convince them. You can't, talk down to them and say, no, this is how it is, so you have to listen to this.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
think that way, youngsters are very smart today.
They are. They are very smart.
They're logical. You have to earn their respect. And I'm not a kind who will say, oh, what are the youngsters of today? In our times, we were great. We were not.
No.
Every
No
generation had its own problems.
problems. Yes, I agree to that. Yes. Yes.
So I think how we communicate, I think that's most important.
Yes, yes. That was amazing, note. And then communication is the key, is what you're saying. And I totally agree. To all my viewers who are watching, we are in live with Dr. Anupama Kailash. She just explained exploring Bhava. It was wonderful. And if you want to know more, please go to her website and see. She has a um, it's like a bandar, or it's like a encyclopedia you have. So I cannot bind her with what the time which we have. So we have to have more of her, and we can have it in another session, maybe in future. But for now, thank you very much, Dr. Anupama Kailash. I really appreciate you coming forth, doing this, and making this event, the third day event, a grand opening. Thank you very much. I
Thank you so
appreciate
much,
it.
Sudha. It was absolutely my pleasure, and I know we are from the same university also. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
also I was in fact Anuradhaji's first PhD student.
Ah, awesome,
Uh,
awesome.
so
Appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
it was fun talking to you, and I hope we can take away a lot
Absolutely.
of good things from what
Absolutely.
we've discussed today.
Yes,
So
yes.
thank you so much for inviting me over. It was absolutely my pleasure.
It's my honor. I should say it's my honor, not pleasure. It's my honor to have you. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night, ma'am.
Good night. Thank you. Bye bye.
That was Dr. Anupama Kailash giving us the opportunity to know what bhava and what rasa is. That's amazing. The time, I have a very limited time, and I couldn't, have her more, but I wish I had one whole session with her. Now, the next we have in our agenda today is a great dancer and a practitioner of Kuchipudi, Srimati Sita Lakshmi Prasad. I'm inviting her to the studio today. Hello, Akka. You're muted.
Namaste.
Hello, Akka. Sita Lakshmi Prasad. a performer, a choreographer, and a founder
Yeah.
of Durga Nritya Niketan in Kottagudem, Telangana. Sri Sita Lakshmi Prasad is a recognized A-grade artist by National Broadcast Doordarshan and a disciple with distinction holder in Kuchipudi, a diploma holder in Kuchipudi. She is an accomplished performer, choreographer, dedicated guru. She has learned, performed, and trained Kuchipudi in Gurukula Sampradaya for more than 22 years. She achieved this with her relentless effort and blessings of her gurus, Sri Vempati Ravishankar Garu, Sri Vedantam Venkatachalapati, Mrs. Madhu Nirmala. She has performed a lead role character in many of her ballets like Chandraganta, Navadurga, choreographed by Sri Vempati Ravishankar Garu, a lead role, a Krishna role in Sri Krishna Parijatam, choreographed by Padma Bhushan Sri Vempati Channasatyam Garu, and as Lord Krishna in Narakasuravada dance ballet choreographed by Sri Vempati Venkatachalapati, and many more of hers. She has performed in so many other festivals like online performances in UK Telugu Association, Sydney Telugu Association Australia 2013, 2015, 2018, UK and Europe tours, India Cultural Year 2017, um, NMDA Festival Vizag, International Trade Fair New Delhi, Siddhendra Yogi Festival Kuchipudi 2015, Kathak Mahotsav Kathak 2015, and many more to name. She has achieved a diploma with distinction in Kuchipudi from Telugu University of AP, and she's received Nritya Siromani Award at Kathak Mahotsav, Orissa. She has participated in Mahabrinda Natyam, Silicon Andhra, AP India, Guinness Book of World Records certification 2010, and she has achieved many, many, many more. To name a few, I just did. Invited for a judges for young youth festival considered by Government of Kerala in year 2018, and many more. With the above background as the most Versian dancer guru, she has started her dance school Sri Durga Sai Nritya Niketan at Kottagudem in Telangana state. She choreographed ballets Sri Srinivasa Kalyanam, Jai Jai Durge, Five Elements, Jai Telangana, Nritya, Nritya Bharatam, and many more group and solo items. We have Sri Sita Prasad in our studio. Welcome, Akka, to Siddhendra Aradhana Festival. There is a lag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
So you want to start with your first presentation?
Yeah, definitely. Mama Vatu Sri Saraswati.
Yes,
Sure.
Mama of the Sri Saraswati. Are the kids ready?
Yeah. ఒక్క
Okay.
1 minute time ఇస్తే నేను
Sure,
ఫస్ట్
sure, sure. Yes, I'm going to talk about Mama of the Sri Saraswati. She's an eminent dancer in the place where I have learned my dance also from Sri Madhu Nirmala, and the ragam which they're going to perform in Mama Saraswati is Hindola and Talam is Adi. a composition of Mysore Vasudevan Charya in praise of Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. A brilliant new choreography by Srimati Sita Lakshmi Prasad shows that the goddess in all her glory through many stylistic, angelic sentences. In this number, the performers interpret the lyrics of song and describe the goddess of fine art in her many splendorous moments. Mamavati Sri Saraswati.
Is the audio clear?
Yes, very clear.
Yeah,
Sri Saraswati, Mamavatu Sri Saraswati, Mamavatu Sri Saraswati, Kamakoti Pita Nivasini, Mamavatu Sri Saraswati, Kamakoti 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 Nivasini, Mamavatu Sri Saraswati. कोमलकर सरोज धृत वीणा, कोमलकर सरोज धृत वीणा, कोमलकर सरोज धृत वीणा, कोमलकर सरोज धृत वीणा, सीमातीत वरवा विभूषणा, सीमातीत वरवा विभूषणा, कोमलकर सरोज धृत वीणा, सीमातीत वरवा विभूषणा, सा गस निर पाद मगम सा मगर मनिर सनिर निसा गस निर पाद मगम सा Magara mani dasa ni dani sama dasa gani sa ni dasa ni sa ni dani bada bada ni sama dasa gani sa ni dasa ni dani bada bada ni sama yama mavatu Sri Saraswati Kamakoti Pita Nivasini Navavatu Sri Saraswati राजाधिराज पूजित चरण राजाधिराज पूजित चरण राजाधिराज पूजित चरण राजाधिराज पूजित चरण राजीवरय राजाधिराज पूजित चरण राजीवनयन रमणीय सुजन मनोरथ पूरण चतुर निजगण शोभित मणिमय हार सुजन मनोरथ पूरण चतुर निजगण शोभित मणिमय हार अजब वंदित वासुदेव चरणार्पित सकल वेद सार अजब वंदित वासुदेव चरणार्पित सकल वेद सार गज निर माद गमस मगर मरि रस निर निसा गज निर माद गमस मगर मरि रस निर निसा मग सग निस निगस निस गनि दस निधनि मद मद निस मग सग निस निगस निस गनि दस निधनि मद मद निस मग मावतु श्री सरस्वती कामकोटि पीठ निवासिनी मावतु श्री सरस्वती कामकोटि पीठ निवासिनी मावतु श्री सरस्वती
Beautiful. Beautifully done by Sri Durga Nritya Niketan, students of Sri Sita Prasad. Akka koncham manaki jarugutava. You're black. Yes. That's such a wonderful performance. Of course, choreographed by herself, Sri. I'm sorry. Choreographed by Sri Sita Prasad. Thank you very much for wonderful performance, Akka. Can we proceed with the second performance now?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Second performance of this evening is Krishna Janana Sabdam. It is in, I'm sorry, Krishna Janana Sabdam is in Aragam Mohana and Talam Adi. Krishna, an incarnation of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, lived in Vrindavan. He took birth to clear off the evil forces at that time in Dwapara Yuga. And during his childhood or his whole lifespan, there are many Leelas he did in eradicating the evil and protecting the goodness. In Krishna Janana Saptam, these kids are going to depict two of such stories, like Putana Samharam and Govardhanagiri, describing in a traditional Kuchipudi item, Krishna Janana Saptam. It is choreographed by Sangeet Natak Academy Awardee Sri Srimati Uma Ramarao Garu. Group choreography is done by Srimati Sita Lakshmi Prasad. We have Krishna Janana Sabdam coming up next. Your audio is muted. Yes, now we can hear.
సురలు పొంద భూసురులు జలంగగ మధురాపురమున జనించి 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 పరమాదరమున నంద యశోదల పట్టి వంచువర్తించి పరమాదరమున నంద యశోదల పట్టి వంచువర్తించి పరమాదరమున నంద యశోదల పట్టి వంచువర్తించి తగత తగత ధిమి ధిమి తధిమి తగ తగత తగత ధిమి ధిమి తధిమి తగ గరళలిప్త కుజయుగళాంకిత దయ్యాళి భూతనను వధించి 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 కరళలిప్త కుచయుగళాంచిత కయ్యాళి పూతనను వధించి కరళలిప్త కుచయుగళాంచిత కయ్యాళి పూతనను వధించి చరణ నిగత సకటాసురు దృంచి తృణావర్తుని మడించి చరణ నిగత సకటాసురు దృంచి తృణావర్తుని మడించి తద్దిమి ధిమి తక్కిట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు దగదరికిన దగ తద్దిమి ధిమి తక్కిట తక్కుడు దిక్కుడు దగదరికిన వల్లవ మృగముల దధినవనీతములెల్లనాధరించి వల్లవ మృగముల దధినవనీతములెల్లనాధరించి పిల్లలతో పశులగా చుటూ గోపికలను అలపించి పిల్లలతో పశులగా చుటూ గోపికలను అలపించి తం దత్తి కాళియ ఫణంగమునను తాండవ కేళి సవరించి కాళియ ఫణిరంగమునను తాండవ కేళి సవరించి పూలలైన రక్కసులను పలుపురగుంచి యశమును పెంచి పూలలైన రక్కసులను పలుపురగుంచి యశమును పెంచి తధిమి తత్త ఘను తకిట తత్త ఘను తధిమి తత్త ఘను తకిట తత్త ఘను వాసవ గర్వము భంగపరచి గోవర్ధనగిరిని ధరించి వాసవ గర్వము భంగపరచి గోవర్ధనగిరిని ధరించి వాసవగర్వము భంగపరచి గోవర్ధనగిరిని ధరించి రాస క్రీడల మధుర గీతముల రమణులను కరగించి 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 తాం తతతే తత కుందరిత తక తాం తతతే తత కుందరిత తక అక్రూరునితో మధుర కుదని కంసాది ఖలుల ధరించి అక్రూరునితో మధుర కుజని కంసాది ఖలుల ధరించి అక్రూరునితో మధుర కులని కంసాది ఖలుల ధరించి చక్రాద్యమరులననుగ్రహించి జరాసంధ బలముల బొలించి చక్రాద్యమరులననుగ్రహించి జరాసంధ బలముల బొలించి నాదిన తదిన తక తదిన తగదిన తక నాదిన తదిన తక తదిన తగదిన తక వారావతపురమున నివసించి దయచే జగముల నేలిన శౌరి నీ సరివారలు భువినేరి నీ సరివారలు భువినేరి కోటి రెడ్డి సంచారి కోటి రెడ్డి సంచారి మారజనక ఇంపారగూడుము మారజనక ఇంపారగూడుము సారసక్షమదినం నితినాపై సత్కృపజూడుము నగధీర సత్కృపజూడుము నగధీర సత్కృపజూడుము నగధీర తలంగు తక్క చిక్కు తక్క సతిగిణ తుంట ధన త ఝణు త ధిమి తత్ కిట తధ కిట తక్క తజను కిట తక్క తధిమి కిట తక్క జను తతక ధిమి తతటి తజను తధిమి తకిట తదిగిణ 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 తరిగిడతం 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 తద్ది తత్రిగిడతం తద్ది తత్రిగిడతం తద్ది తత్రిగిడతం తత్తై తన్నత్త ధిమి తత్తై తన్నా జను తం తత్తజను తత్తజనుదై తత్తజను తత్తజనుదం తత్తజను తత్తజనుదై తత్తజను తత్తజను ది 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 దినగదిం ది 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 దినగదిం ది ది దినగదిం ది ది దినగదిం 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 ది ది దినగదిం ది దినగదిం 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 త దినగదిం తై దినగదిం తత్తజను తత్తజనుదై తత్తజను తత్తజనుదం తత్తజను తత్తజనుదై తత్తజను తత్తజనుద ది తోం నం ది తోం నం తక్క 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 తగ 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 దినకడిది దిద్ది దినకడిది దిద్ది తదిద్ది తగ తజం జం తగది దిద్ది తం తత దినదం తత దినది దిద్ది దినకడిది దిద్ది దినకడిది తదిత్తజం దిత్తరిత్తజం దరిత్తజం తద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత దద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత తదింగిణత దద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత 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 దద్దిత్తరిత్తజం దిత్తరిత్తజం తరిత్తజం తద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత దద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత తదింగిణత దద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత 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 దద్దిత్తరిత్తజం దిత్తరిత్తజం తరిత్తజం తద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత దద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదింగిణత తదింగిణత దద్దిం గిణ్ణత్త తదిం తరిగడి తదిం తరిగడి తదిం తరిగడి
Beautiful, beautiful composition, beautiful choreography. That was wonderful performance by students of Sri Sita Lakshmi Prasad. Akka koncham venakki allava, koncham back. Yes. Mute lo unnavanu. You're muted. Mute.
ఇప్పుడు ఓకేనా?
ఇప్పుడు perfect. Yeah. Chala bondi. Enta baga chesaru. The kids did such a beautiful job, and the choreography was awesome. The formation, and I could see both the leelas very clearly. They did an awesome job. Amazing synchronization. Beautiful. Very nice. Let's proceed with the last performance from the students of Sita Lakshmi Prasad. It's Shivashtakam. Shivashtakam is in praise of Lord Shiva in 8 verses and heavy body movements and sculpturized poses. It is meant to be bestow peace and prosperity to those who recite this stotram. Shivashtakam is set to Mohana Ragam, Khanda Chaputalam, written by Saint Vedavyasa. This item is choreographed by Padma Bhushan, Dr. Sri Venkatachinna Satyam garu. Shivashtakam. Thank you. That was a wonderful choreography by Sita Prasad. Now we have Shivashtakam.
Hatta-dindam, hatta-dindam,
Prabhupada Viswanathan Jagannathanathan Sadananda Bhayam Prabhupada Viswanathan Jagannathanathan Sadananda Bhayam Bhavatthya Bhuteswaram Bhutanatham Siddhi Sankaram Janalinde Bhavatthya Bhuteswaram Bhutanatham Siddhi Sankaram Janalinde Galerundamalam Tanusatpajalam Mahakalakalam Ganeshadikaram Galerundamalam Tanusatpajalam Mahakalakalam Ganeshadikaram जटाजूटगङ्गोत्तरङ्गै विशिष्टं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले जटाजूटगङ्गोत्तरङ्गै विशिष्टं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले मुदामाकरं मण्डलं मण्डयन्तं महामण्डलं भस्मभूषाधरातं मुदामाकरं मण्डलं मण्डयन्तं महामण्डलं भस्मभूषाधरातं अनादिव्यवहारं महामोहकारं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले अनादिव्यवहारं महामोहकारं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले हठाधो निवासं महाट्टाट्टहासं महापापनाशं सदा सुप्रकाशम् हठाधो निवासं महाट्टाट्टहासं महापापनाशं सदा सुप्रकाशम् गिरीशं गणेशं सुरेशं नरेशं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले गिरीशं गणेशं सुरेशं महेशं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले गिरीन्द्रात्मजासं गृहीताद्धरेतं गिरौ संस्थितं सर्वदा सन्निकेहम् गिरीन्द्रात्मजासं गृहीताद्धरेतं गिरौ संस्थितं सर्वदा सन्निकेहम् परब्रह्मबन्धोदिभिर्वन्द्यमानं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले परब्रह्मबन्धोदिभिर्वन्द्यमानं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले तपालं त्रिशूलङ्कराज्ञातदानं पदं भोजनं कायकामं ददानम् कपालं त्रिशूलं कराज्ञातदानं पदं भोजनं कायकामं ददानम् हरिहृदयानं पुराणं प्रधानं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले हरिहृदयानं पुराणं प्रधानं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले शरश्चन्द्रगात्रं गणानन्दगात्रं वीरेन्द्रं कविन्द्रं हरिशस्येन्द्रम् शरश्चन्द्रगात्रं गणानन्दगात्रं वीरेन्द्रं कविन्द्रं हरिशस्येन्द्रम् अपर्णाकलत्रं सदा सच्चरित्रं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले अपर्णाकलत्रं सदा सच्चरित्रं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले हरं सत्पहारं चिताभूनिधारं भवं वेदसारं सदा निर्विकारम् हरं सत्पहारं चिताभूनिधारं भवं वेदसारं सदा निर्विकारम् श्मशाने वसन्तं मनोरञ्जनं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले श्मशाने वसन्तं मनोरञ्जनं शिवं शङ्करं शम्भुमीशानलीले स्वयं यत्प्रभाते नरशूलपाणिं पठे स्तोत्ररत्नं इह प्राप्यरत्नम् स्वयं यत्प्रभाते नरशूलपाणिं पठे स्तोत्ररत्नं इह प्राप्यरत्नम् स्वयं यत्प्रभाते नरशूलपाणिं पठे स्तोत्ररत्नं इह प्राप्यरत्नम् सुपुत्रं सुधान्यं सुवित्रं कटस्थं विचित्रं त्रैसमानाभ्यमोक्षं प्रजाति सुपुत्रं सुधान्यं सुमित्रं कळत्रं विचित्रैः समारभ्यमोक्षं प्रजाति
Wonderfully done. Shivashtakam, choreographed by Padma Bhushan Guru Sri Venkatachana Satyangaru, students of Sri Sita Lakshmi Prasad. Wonderful performance by all of your students, Akka. It's beautiful to see them coming live and doing this performance in this situation also. All the students I would call upon are S. Srinija, S. Srinija, A. Indrani, R. Manisha, D. Shravya, S. Yamini, M. Tejaswini, K. Hasini, K. Srijana, T. Harichandana. A big kudos to you all, students of Srimati Lakshmi Prasad. Wonderful performance, and I thank you for being a part of Siddhendra Aradhana Day 3 celebrations. You want to say something, Akka?
Definitely, Sudha. Thanks so very much. అంటే ఇంత చక్కటి మమ్మల్ని కూడా ఒక భాగం చేసినందుకు ఎంతో మంది గురువులు ఇప్పటి వరకు విన్నాం. అనుపమ అక్క డెమో అది విన్నాము. చాలా చాలా మా పిల్లలందరికీ కూడా చాలా అంటే అదృష్టం అది. అంటే ఇలాంటి అవకాశం దొరకడం, వాళ్ళంటి పెద్దవాళ్ళ గురువుల ఇవి వినడం, మన వాళ్ళ అనుభవాలు, అలాగే వాళ్ళ ఏమంటారు వాళ్ళ జర్నీ డాన్స్ అనేది వినడము అన్నది చాలా అదృష్టము. సో ఈ విధంగా మాకు కూడా అవకాశం ఇచ్చినందుకు నిజంగా నీకు హ్యాట్స్ ఆఫ్. అసలు ఇంత కష్టపడుతున్నాం, 3 రోజుల నుంచి చూస్తున్నాం, మంచి మంచి కార్యక్రమాలు చూసే అవకాశం మాకు కూడా దొరికింది. ఇలాంటి పాండమిక్ టైంలో చక్కగా ఇంట్లో కూర్చునే మనం ఇంత మంచి కార్యక్రమాలు చూడగలుగుతున్నాము. సో అందరికి నాతోటి గురువులు అలాగే నాకన్నా పెద్దవారైన గురువులు అందరికీ కూడా నమస్కరిస్తూ ఏమైనా చిన్న చిన్న తప్పులు ఉంటే క్షమించమని కోరుతున్నాను. అండ్ సో this opportunity to me and my
No,
team.
thank you. It's absolute my pleasure. And the kids did an awesome job. In spite of the pandemic, you could bring them together and make them perform. They did such a good job. My special kudos to Krishna, He was so nice. Krishna character and everyone in the whole thing, wonderfully job, very wonderfully done. Everybody did so good. Aka, thank you very much, and then have a good night. And I hope I
You.
continue. Your the collaboration between you and me would continue further. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next performer which we have for today is from the school of students of Dr. Sri Ravi Subramaniam Poduru. Unfortunately, he's not able to be live with us today, but his students are going to perform Sita Swayamvaram. Ravi Poduru Subramaniam Garu is a renowned Bharatanatyam dancer and a choreographer currently working as a lecturer in Bharatanatyam department in SV College of Music and Dance, TTD, Tirupati. He is a humble disciple of Guru Kanchanamala Garu, Guru K. Devender Pillai Garu, Guru S. Jamuna Rani Garu, Guru Pasumati Ramalinga Sastri Garu, Guru C.V. Chandrasekhar Garu. He is a founder of Sri Nrityanjali Academy of Music and Dance. The academy was established in the year 1999. The main motto of this academy is to provide excellent training in aesthetics to young generation in the field of music and dance. Now we have students of Sri Nrityanjali Academy, Music and Dance performing in front of us, Sita Swayamvaram.
Sita Swayamvaram, where I have made use of certain props within the framework of Bharatanatyam to make it much more interesting. Sita Swayamvaram.
சுயம்பர வேளை வந்தது அங்கு வந்து வந்து ஜானகியை கைப்பிடிக்க கூடினர். அங்கு வந்த கலிங்க முதல் அனைத்து நாட்டின் மன்னரும் அங்கு வந்து ஜானகியை கைப்பிடிக்க கூடினர். மை போகவே மை போகவே
That was wonderful, Ravi. Welcome. There were some technical difficulties. I think that's why you couldn't join before.
Thank you, Kiran.
Thank you.
You're connected, very good program, very nice in international standards.
Thank you.
I'm not able to access morning 9 to 2. I'm
You're
waiting
not
for that. I couldn't access.
No, that's okay. That's
Okay.
perfectly fine, Ravi. I couldn't see you, so I just started your program. I hope it is okay. Kids did an awesome job, and you, as usual, being their guru, you did a wonderful job. The Kalyana Mahotsavam, and I'm glad our last program is ending with, or the morning session is ending with Kalyana Mahotsavam. It's really nice, and I see your students are grooming exactly how you're wanting them to grow. To my audience, everyone, this is Dr. Ravi Subramaniam, my classmate from HCU. He has completed his PhD from University of Asia, Nepal, and Young Artist Scholarship from Department of Culture, New Delhi. Worked as a faculty in Sri Padmavati Mahavidyalaya, University of MA, Dance. Um, and he has been invited as a judge for many competitions. um, he has been awarded Natyacharya, Natya Kala Pravina, Natya Vicharada, Natya Vihari Ratna. Um, Congratulations, Ravi. I don't have any words to tell you. It's been a long time we reconnected. And thank you for being a
Thank you.
part of this program. You are the first to be doing Bharatanatyam style of dance in Siddhendra Aradhana. The main motto for me to instigate this Siddhendra Aradhana is to have a platform for all Kuchipudi artists. And as a tradition, what I wanted to do was to encourage other art forms also. That's why in the last day of the Siddhendra Aradhana, we wanted to, give encouragement to rest of the art forms, and that's why you are here. And you started off with wonderful Kalyana Mahotsavam. Thank you. For all the viewers, Dr. Ravi Subramaniam is guru and he's working as a lecturer in SV College,
Music and dance.
SV Music and Dance College in
Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam.
Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam. So he gets to see Lord Venkateshwara be with him always. So thank you. Ravi, you want to say something?
Thank you, Kiran. First, getting the great opportunity this platform is giving my students also. It's a very good platform for performing all the talents, budding artists. No, they have to encourage first. That's why
they did a wonderful job.
One more thing, you are encouraging all the art forms. Actually, the Bharatanatyam also constructed by Telugu people only. After that, our another art form is raising from Andhra, no, Kuchipudi.
Right.
Now, the same thing is going on Telangana.
Right.
They are encouraging another art form also, Perini. Like that.
Yes. Yes.
But we have to encourage all the three forms.
Yes.
Art, there is no language, no nationality, no caste system, no. That's why we encourage all the That's why we have to encourage and go through the main stream. No,
Right.
the governments also should encourage
We
not
will
only
see about
Kuchipudi, not
that.
only Perini, not only Bharatanatyam.
I
Have to
think,
give opportunity to all the art forms. Then only
right.
artists. That's why you have to encourage all the things.
Yes, that's what the main instigation is to do that. We started Siddhendra Aradhana by the end last day. We want to encourage other art forms apart from Kuchipudi, is Bharatanatyam, and in the evening there is a surprise for all of you all. It's not just Bharatanatyam. We have different other art forms also in the lineup. So I would advise and request all of the audience to join in the evening performance of today also. Um, and thank you, Ravi, again for being a part of the Siddhendra Aradhana Day 3 festival. I appreciated you joining in spite of the internet issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That is end of Day 3 session 1, morning session celebrations of Sri Siddhendra Aradhana. Please join me in the evening for a longer session than the previous 2 days, because we are trying to encourage rest of the some of the other dance forms. I shouldn't say rest, some of the other dance forms also. Thank you and have a good rest of the day. I'll see you in the evening. Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha.